And I encourage everyone to ask your questions as we go along and also submit them in the chat as needed. Before I turn it over to our facilitator and our panel, I would like to say a couple of things on women in big data. As many of you as members of our Women in Big Data community are already familiar, this is an organization that is an all-volunteer organization. We have a very specific charter, which is to support women's journeys in technology. And we have grown exponentially. I think this is one of the biggest success growth stories that we should feel really proud about. We started with 15 individuals, and we are today at over 17,000 with chapters all over the world. In fact, I encourage you to continue supporting the chapter, bringing new ideas, and growing together. From what we do, what we want to do is really support you at all stages of your career. You don't have to be a woman to join us, though it is a team that is initially one that was founded with the idea of supporting women, but we welcome all, and we want to support you throughout all stages of your career. Without further ado, I would like to welcome the individuals that jump in and support running this first cohort of data challenges. What we had heard over time is that we want to get opportunities in which we can put our knowledge to practice. And this is the team of women that jump into that challenge, along with Julianne as our executive sponsor, and took on the challenge of driving 3 very interesting competitions, forming teams, organizing teams, and driving that activity to completion. So before I turn it over to Julianne, Julianne, would you like to introduce the team?
Yeah, would love to. I think thanks a lot to everyone for joining us today. I think we have a great group here together. And what I actually would suggest is maybe we let everyone introduce herself, and then if you could also give us one sentence of why did you choose to join this competition and what was kind of your motivation for that. Maybe Mansi, we start with you.
Absolutely, Julian. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Mansi Maharana. I'm based in San Jose, California. Currently, I work as a data and analytics specialist CE at Google Cloud. Hard to believe that this June I'll complete my first year at Google. So it's exciting and time flies. Prior to joining to Google, I worked as a senior solutions architect at Cloudera, so which helped me accumulate more than a decade of experience with big data. So I'm very, very tech savvy. I love to get my hands dirty often and absolutely love data. And now coming to the competition and why I chose to participate, I would say it's primarily to do with time, luck, and opportunity. So when this opportunity knocked, especially courtesy Ileana, Mridula, and Julian, I just wanted to grab it, right? So, and I'm glad I did, because this proved great to be a chance for me to do something different, something beyond my day job, help me build my network, meet, work, and learn from other like-minded individuals. So that being said, I'm going to pass the buck to Christine.
Thank you so much, Mansi. This is Christine. I just moved to Bay Area starting my first job. I graduated from a nutrition background. And as why I decided to join this challenge is because that I found my interest in the business world, and I found that I need more skills in the data analytics. So I took some courses. I really wanted to put all the skills I learned from the class into practice, and also to know more people, like how do they actually use these skills, and to answer questions, to guide business, learn from each other. So that's why I joined this opportunity, and it's totally worth it. It's not helped me to improve my data analytics skills, but also a very great personal growth experience for me. And after that, I guess who want to go next?
Let's continue with Nasreen.
Yes.
Nishreen. Hi, everyone. I'm a technical mentor and PO at a company called Undana, where we solve data science problems for UN agencies, social impact startups, and NGOs. Currently, we are working on countering the financing of terrorism in the UN Office of Counterterrorism. Prior to that, I've been in the Valley for many years, working in research, product development, and technical marketing. I've been qualified as a physicist and as an astrophysics, so was always used to looking at vast amounts of data, looking at patterns inside data, cleaning them up, and modeling them. So a few years ago, I decided to pivot into data science. And I joined this competition basically to expand my network, as most of you are here, and work with like-minded individuals and and learn from each other the latest trends, what's going on in this world. So that's why I joined, grabbed the opportunity of being a team lead for WIBD Data Challenge.
Great. Shruti, you want to go next? Do we have?
Yeah, hello, my name is Shruti. I am a new grad, so I am working at the Walt Disney Company under the media and entertainment distribution as a software engineer. And I was Nishreen's team coordinator. And the reason that I kind of got into this is I was a student when we started this competition. So for me, it was something completely new. I was studying computer science, but I had no background in data science. And it was just kind of something that I knew would be out of my comfort zone, but I knew it would be a really good learning experience. And especially at my point in my career at that time, which I didn't have a career at that time, but it was a really good stepping stone for me to kind of learn about something new and learn about the different opportunities and explore the different avenues that are out there in the world of tech, which I wasn't formerly very acquainted with, I guess. So it was a really good learning opportunity for me to step out of my comfort zone and learn something new. And I learned a lot of new stuff.
Awesome. Rupa, you want to go next? You're still on mute.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Rupa. I am a computer engineer with years of experience in the semiconductor industry, working mostly on chip design and validation at Intel for most part. I was dealing and working on data coming from billion-plus transistors from a CPU chip. So yes, I was playing with data. So eventually I switched my career to data science, which was recent. And after completing my training and relevant degrees in this field, I now work as a data scientist and a product architect for a product. I joined this challenge to practice what I have been learning. There is a lot to learn. Believe me, in data science, there is never enough. Wanted to complete a project outside of my work to learn, lead, and most importantly, share what I know with my team because I knew I was there just a short while ago. That's why I, pick up the challenge.
Thank you. And then last but not least, Mridula.
Thanks, Julian. Hi, everyone. I'm Rizza Alani. I work at Intel in Santa Clara. I've been working at Intel in semiconductors for last 10 years in various roles, design, validation. Currently, I'm working as power analysis, modeling, and optimization engineer. At work, I have to deal with a lot of data, and that's how I got started with data science. And then I've been learning it myself through online and part-time courses. And I chose to participate in this competition because I wanted to get out of my comfort zone and try something new and also test the skills that I've been learning. And also just to learn from other women who are working, other women or men who are working in the data science field. And yeah, so that's why I joined this competition.
Great. Then I can finish the introduction. So as Eliana said, my name is Julianne Stefan. I'm an associate partner at Bain & Company, so coming from the consulting side. I'm helping companies with performance improvement and tech-enabled strategies. And I was super excited when Eliana asked me if I want to join the competition and sponsor, because what I often see in my world is that there's a lot of great technical talent, but there's sometimes a big gap between the business side and the analytics side, and they don't really understand each other or like effectively communicating. So helping to bridge that gap is always something that I'm very passionate about, because I believe there's so much power in data-driven decision-making that is still very untapped in many companies. Awesome. Eliana, you wanted to tell us a little bit more about how people can get involved in women in big data before we move on, right?
Absolutely, yes. So let me try to move us from that slide. And thank you everyone for the introduction. And thank you each and every one of you ladies, because I know it took a lot of effort and I know your teams were super supportive and some of them are online. So thank you to all of them as well. There are many ways to continue getting involved. You see some of the resources here. But first and most importantly, especially in regards to future data challenges, for any of you that are aware of others that would like to participate on our next cohort, or for anyone that is on the call that would like to be involved on our next cohort, I invite you to reach out to me or reach out to anyone on the panel, and we can make it happen. We can work together. As I said, this is an all-volunteer organization, but if we pull our resources, our knowledge, our efforts together, we can lift the next cohort and provide real-life experience to the groups. So with that, Julianne, I'll pass it back to you.
Yes, and let's just start with learning a little bit more about the different competitions that we joined. And I think we had a really interesting set of them, also with different durations and everything. So why don't we start with Team Hurricane to hear a little bit about what the competition was about and why you chose that one. And then also, how did you form your team, assign the roles, and manage to engage the different team members?
Thank you, Julianne. So about Team Hurricane and why we chose the name Hurricane was because we worked on predicting speeds of hurricanes. This was a challenge by an organization called Data Driven, and they are on a mission to enable data scientists and nonprofits to learn from the work done in their competitions. So basically, this is an organization which does data science competitions for social good. And what they do is after the code is submitted by winners, they release the code under an open license to nonprofits and NGOs so that they can learn from our experience and they can also use and adapt the code to their needs. So that was one of the reasons why we chose Data Driven. The second thing is the Hurricane Challenge. This was our first choice, and there were many wonderful challenges to pick from, but this was our first choice. And the choice was based on two important issues in front of us, basically climate change and humanitarian reasons. This challenge was our first choice, and it did have a shorter length, as Julianne just mentioned. We had only a month to go until the challenge was coming to an end. So we needed a good blend of team members, and we weren't sure if we were going to get it from the pool of participants for WIBD. But we did end up getting enough participants, which were in a range of experiences. Some were very experienced, some were beginners. So I wanted a good blend for the team so that we could teach and learn from each other. And the team was also very diverse. We were from all different parts of the United States. So we had to work, when we met, we had to work across different time zones. And also an interesting part was we also had a very diverse background. We had people in material science, in microbiology, in computer and information sciences, physics and astrophysics, were some of the disciplines that we came from. So I feel the composition of the team was amazing, and which allows us to bring our different perspectives to the group. So that was very interesting for our team to hear different perspectives from different backgrounds. Why did we, coming back to why did we choose this challenge? It is a computer vision and a time series forecasting challenge. And as I mentioned earlier, it addressed two important things: is climate change and humanitarian reasons. And we know that today there is strong evidence that humans cause global warming, and this global warming is causing the hurricanes to become more stronger and more destructive. And humanitarian response to these events hinge on accurately predicting the storm intensity. And this problem was in front of us to predict or try to help to predict those wind speeds as accurately as possible, so that we can make a change on how fast, how accurately those wind speeds can be estimated and the response to humanitarian aid. A little more about the challenge was this was a challenge sponsored by NASA and Radiant Earth Foundation. We had satellite images which were we had about 50 to 60,000 images from satellites of various hurricanes across the United States and the Caribbean, and they were captured in time by satellites. So that was our data, and we had a data set which was annotated with feeds. So each hurricane had a location, had an ID, and then each hurricane image had a speed associated with it, since we were to do a time series analysis. How did we go about working on this challenges? Since we had only 4 weeks, we got on the ball and we had a kickoff call right away as soon as the team were introduced, and we picked our team members, which showed interest in this challenge, of course. And we sat down together to understand the problem statement and the data. We set up the communications, how we would communicate. This was very essential because we had a very short period of time. So the team agreed on meeting at least once or twice a week on either on live calls, so that we could discuss our progress and our challenges that we are facing, and get some doubts cleared from each other's experience. We also set up a Slack channel, so where we could communicate. If we had a quick question, we did not get on a call, we could just communicate through Slack. So we set up a Slack channel, and of course we set up a GitHub channel so that we could load our work over there, and this work can also be seen by others as to what you've done in a challenge. So it's also an affirmation of your work by other people. So these are the ways we communicated. In terms of engagement, we had technical tutorials, we had coding sessions, we had debugging sessions. The way we approached the problem is we first kind of built a pipeline, understood what it was going to be, whether it's going to be, how are we going to load the data, how are we going to batch the data, which model we are going to use to train, and then how we are going to do the submission. And talking on some of the challenges that we faced, I think the first biggest challenge was, of course, the data set. It was huge, it was heavy, so we had to manage vast amounts of data, and we also had to port it to use TPUs to model the data. Otherwise, you couldn't, unless you had a very powerful machine, we couldn't do it locally. And we also had to change formats along the way so that we could enable efficiency in loading and unloading the data and storing it. So other challenges we faced were these were satellite images, so not all of them were nice and clear images. Some were a little defocused, some were a little off to the side. So we had to do some image processing to clean up the images and account for the missing pixels. Our approach to the model was very straightforward. We chose to build the simplest model first, because this is something, because of the time constraint, this was something we could get out of the door right away. So we chose to build a very simple model at first from scratch. So we did not use any pre-trained models. We used a simple model from scratch, and then we would layer it with complexity as time went on to make it more accurate and give us better results. I think this approach was very useful for the team, especially the people who were on the intermediate and the beginner side, because they saw how a model was built from a very simple input and then layering all the complexity on it. And then each stage, the experienced team members would explain why we are doing this or why this step is necessary and so on. So I think that was a great learning experience along the way for the team to build the model that way rather than use something that's pre-trained. Not to say that that doesn't have its advantages as well, but this is the way we chose to approach and make sure our team learned things along the way. So, and of course, we tried different things along the way. We chose some metrics, we did some hyperparameter tuning to come to the best model. Our results are shown on the bottom left of the screen. We were amongst the top 13% of the participants. There were, of course, many submissions, but there were about, I think, close to 700 participants, and out of that, we were amongst the top 13%. And this in 4 weeks, so I'm incredibly proud of the team and the way we came together, we communicated. We made it to those meetings, though we were across different time zones. So a big thank you and a round of applause to the Hurricane team. I think in the end, the challenge was more about making new connections, learning something new, teaching somebody something, and making an impact. And we had fun, to say that I look forward to meeting the team and discussing things. So it was a lot of fun. So I thank WIDD and Julianne and Emiliana for this opportunity for us to participate in this competition.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, the result is super impressive. I mean, congrats again to the team. And I know you all were like coming together from all different parts of the country. And so very impressive that you managed to get that done so quickly as well. So very cool.
Right.
Short and sweet. Awesome. Should we hear from Team Ruth what they have been working on?
Sure. And congratulations, Team Hurricane. That's amazing, right? So welcome to Team Ruth. So let me start off with the genesis of our team name. I think by now most of you would have already guessed. We named it after the legend Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was an epitome of gender equality and women's rights champion. And we'll see how that linked to our competition. It was like amazing the way that it all fell together. So now a little bit about this competition, right? So it's the United Nations Millennium Development Goals, which provides a bigger picture perspective on international developments. So what it does is by using all these indicators, which has been collected and probably aggregated by the World Bank, you try to go and predict the progress towards this selected MDGs, which is this Millennium Development Goals, such as you have what the indicator would tell is how the goals would be like eradicate extreme poverty and hunger, achieve universal primary education. One of the primary goals were actually to promote gender equality and empower women. Now you see that goal is very near dear to Team Ruth. Others would include like ensuring environment sustainability and so on. So the idea was to take all this historical data and build out a model, a regression model, which will help you predict it 1 year and 5 years out, right? That's where we understand that how we are performing on those goals and what kind of economic factors were impacting those goals and how those can impact them in the future and how do we tackle them better, right? So now coming to the selection criteria for this competition. So it was majorly 3 factors that influenced our choice. The first one was the timeline, right? So we definitely wanted something more achievable. So it was 5 weeks out when we started. So, and it mentioned that it had an option to extend the deadline. And I was very excited. Oh my God, if we don't meet, maybe probably they'll extend, but it never got extended. But I think we were done by the time. Second factor was the team size, because we had a lot of interest in the group. So we wanted to ensure that we can at least accommodate 5 to 6 participants, right? And the major one was the level of effort based on the skill set, right? So we wanted to start off with something easy because it was first for the most of them. And then we wanted to have fun learning and exploring without having this high demand of higher level of data science skill set, right? So this this competition was the perfect choice for us. Then coming to team-wise, what we did is we followed a very similar team structure and the collaboration mechanism to Team Hurricane. Right? We had a team lead, that was me, a coordinator, Christine, that you'll hear from, that you've already heard from as well. And then the other team members who had a very shared responsibility. So our goal was primarily not to be the best, right? Our goal was that each of the team members should be able to successfully make a submission, right? May or may not be the best RSME. How did we fare when we took this approach? So actually, in fact, I think I'm very proud of my team of what we achieved within this short timeline. So we made about 34 submissions, right? And then few of them were like anomalies. I mean, we had such bad RSME. I'm like, oh my God, what is wrong? So in a few minutes, we'll talk about what are the lessons learned, and I'll touch upon why we had that bad RSME, right? And then we did those submission over the last 2 to 3 weeks, given the first 2 weeks were primarily spent on the setup and getting to understand the data better. So, and then we ranked about 71. I think it's top 2 to 5% in the competition. So that's brief me, and with that, I'll turn it over to Julian.
That's awesome. And I think it's also really great that from the beginning, you were kind of setting out to make sure every one of the team members has a chance to learn. And, you set a goal for your team and not just a generic goal. I think that's really important because we want everyone as well to have the chance to learn and take something out of this competition and have fun in the process as well. So glad to hear that you managed to do that.
Thanks.
Good. Then our last team, Team Dragonfly. Can you move one up, Eliana?
All right. Hello there again. So we are Team Dragonfly, and although the challenge was not about Dragonfly or dragonflies, our challenge was again from driven data, like you heard from Team Hurricane and Team Ruth. So this was the challenge. It's called Dengue AI, predicting the disease spread by a mosquito. I mean, we all know that dengue is a mosquito-borne disease, and predominantly it was, or traditionally, it's been in Southeast Asia and Pacific islands, tropical and subtropical region. But what's been interesting and alarming at the same time is the number of cases, and the spread of dengue is now going beyond its traditional regions across the world. The one continent that's coming up, and it's already red in terms of the spread and number of cases is Latin America. So driven data has picked up this topic, this subject, and like Mansi explained that, and Nishlin also explained that, once the competition is over, they release the code to all the NGOs and, interesting organizations who could use this to help in the respective challenges, how to tackle it, how to better, manage resources in order to handle that specific challenge or situation. So this was, I would go briefly into why we chose this challenge. So it would be in 2 parts, like my friends already explained. So there were some goals that we had in mind right from the start, as in it should be, the first goal is it should be for learning. It should be a fun activity. It should not be a stressful thing that, oh my God, it's a data science related challenge and we have to compete and we have to win and all that. So those goals are great, but we wanted to start small. So we were looking for a challenge which is beginner to intermediate level, difficulty wise. Team size, yes, we wanted to, the challenge itself did not put any limit on the team size, but we wanted to have 6 to 8 people. And thankfully, we received a lot of interest. People chose the challenge that they wanted to pick and contribute to. So we had about 8 team members in our challenge. And the timeline, so our challenge was the longest out there compared to Team Hurricane and Team Ruth. So the original deadline was May 1st, which midway it's now extended to November 1st, but obviously we wanted to, submit our entries and stop it before May 1st, which we did achieve. So that was the background. And the challenge had two cities that we should work on. From Latin America, it was San Juan from Puerto Rico and Iquitos from Peru. So we were supposed to predict the number of dengue cases by each week per year. The data that was given to us was for 2 decades, so 20 years of data, of environmental data, of number of cases data from these two cities. And with using those 20 years of data, we were supposed to predict number of cases in those two cities per week of the year. And the important part here is every week of the year is different based on temperature, based on weather, based on season. So you have to look into all the environmental variables, like it's mentioned here, like precipitation, vegetation, temperature. And we also had to understand the life cycle of the mosquito. We first, and of course, like it was, the team started in fact pronouncing the name of the two mosquitoes that are like predominantly responsible for dengue. We had our domain expert, and I thank her for coming up with this name for our challenge. That was Sirsi, and she, she works in biotechnology field. Rest of our teammates were some of them were switching careers to data science, coming from semiconductor, like myself, Mridula, and Stacy. We had someone moving from teaching field with computer science background into data science. We had Nalini, we had Veena, Nicole from finance background. So, and Thivanai, she was also into financial analytics. So we had people from different background, different expertise, and different skill set. The way we formed the team, we of course reached out to like what's their strong interests are and their skill sets, and we tried to match what part of the project they would like to work on. Someone picked up feature understanding, feature engineering, coming up with correlations and what we can do with feature engineering in eventually choosing the important features for our modeling, which would give us best or better results. Someone picked actual coding, someone picked, tried different models. So the responsibilities were divided, but one thing we made clear that everyone should go through a full cycle of submission, which means they should submit at least one entry of their code so that they can go through the entire process of of this challenge, understanding how you learn the data, how you understand it, and how you eventually do machine learning and predict what you're supposed to. So this is how we went about. And like Nishreen mentioned, the team building was done through, we set up communication channels on Slack, through emails, traditional way. We had weekly or bi-weekly team cadence, team meetings. We had breakout sessions. We had debug and coding sessions. We also organized demo sessions, experts from experts, and Mansi was one of them. She gave us insightful demo on different tools. So with that, our final submission stands at 1200-ish. There were 10,000 plus entries, as you could see here on the right, bottom right corner. And so the final score or the winning code is not yet published because, as I said, the competition is extended from May 1st to November 1st, so it is still ongoing. Our efforts, we have put a stop as, we finished whatever we could do, and now we all moved on with our regular day job. But this was a really enriching and enjoy, very fruitful experience for all of us. I guess I would let the remaining talk for Mridula and all other team members. I think some of my teammates are here today. So thank you, Women in Big Data, Ileana, Julianne, and Mridula for coming up with this idea, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, great job, Rupa and team.
Absolutely.
Really, really great to see. And you know what might be nice to do is, like, once the code is published and in November the winning code, we can have a follow-up and maybe do a learning session and compare, you know, what they came up with versus what we came up with. That might be an interesting follow-up to the competition.
That definitely might be an interesting follow-up, Julian, and maybe by then we'll be able to form the next cohort as well. And with that in mind, Julian, is it okay that I open the floor for one question that came on the chat?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to ask if there are any questions.
Yeah, there are. Deborah, may I ask you to declare your question, please?
Yes, hi, and congratulations to all the team members. It's wonderful to hear your experience and how much you enjoyed the work that you were doing. My question is, when you were forming your teams, what kind of roles or skills were you looking for? And I asked that question in case if I'm ever approached whether someone should join a competition like this or not. I would just like to understand what type of contributions a traditional or a typical team would be looking for. Thank you.
I can think, yeah, sorry. Anybody else wanted to take this up? If not, I'll take a stab at it. Probably Rupa and Nishin can also add a lot. I think what we did is, it was an experience. So when we started off forming the teams, right, the first thing is being a lead. It's a very important role for you to play because you are on the driving seat. You have to drive no matter what, people come in or people leave, right? So, and when you form a team, there are, especially for a data science competition, there are few skill sets that is good to have, right, in order to successfully complete it. Like, say, domain, especially if you're choosing a competition like anything to do related to healthcare or medical. So it will be great to have somebody who has that domain knowledge. I think one of the skill sets that I find very helpful is of a statistician who can help you understand the data, right? So we didn't talk about the challenges, but one of the lessons learned was that if you don't understand your data, probably you will come back to square one, doesn't matter how much progress you make. So somebody who understands the data is very, very key. And then, of course, your some of the engineering background, right, who can help you build the system, coding and stuff like that. And I didn't find it too hard to pick and choose algorithms, but it was because it was new for everybody. So we could play around with different options and look. But those were the three key skill sets probably you will be needing.
Thank you.
No problem.
And I guess I can also chime in on this. I come from a background that basically has no skills in data analytics. And it's also a very worthy learning experience for me, even though I only learn a little bit, but by participating in these challenges, I actually, first, I were able to apply what I learned from the classes into a real situation. And secondly, it helped me to notice my gap between a student to a real data analytics or a data scientist. So I would highly suggest people to join.
Yeah, I want to add to that. I think even for me, as I was learning on my own, just having this opportunity to apply on a real data science problem with the guidance from our team lead and also other team members, it was very important. But along with the skills, I think the technical skills, I think the willingness to learn, like if you're just starting and like beginning to with your data science journey, right? Willingness to learn and trying new things is important, as well as staying committed to completing the challenge. I think that's very important, and maybe you should consider this as an opportunity to improve your coding and data analysis skills. And I think that's how you can make the best use of this opportunity.
Great. There is another comment on the chat, and this comes from Gurdeep. I think, Gurdeep, you were part of the team Ruth, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Hello, everyone. So thanks to Mansi and the team member for letting me part of the team. Actually, I was not in US during that time, so could not contribute much. but I did learn a lot. So I'm looking forward for a new one more competition so that I can give my full time, because I'm back in Bay Area now. And so I joined this group back in 2016 in Milpitas for a pizza. But then since then I've been part of this group, and a lot of new learnings I'm getting from here. So thanks for letting me part of this team, and I look forward for the more competitions. And thank you to all.
Oh, that's a great comment. Thank you so much. And thank you for your support for so many years. So I have a quick question for anyone who wants to take it. I feel that forming teams in the quick fashion that you have to form it with people that you haven't worked with in the past, and on top of that, all over Zoom, I am sure that is very difficult. And this is true for data challenges, but frankly, for any challenge. So are there any one or two learnings that allow you to speed up the forming process of the team so that the team can work together, as opposed to several individuals, you work together as one cohesive team? Anyone with any good tips as to how to bring a group of different people and different resources together very quickly?
So can I answer?
Of course, please. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in Team Ruth, we had a good, I think, Google Hangout where all the members were having the Google email. So we were able to see the message. So what is going on? When is the next meeting? Because timings were getting changed, and because fewer folks like me, and there was another person in India, so it was getting difficult to get up early in the morning and join it. But we were getting all the messages, and it was very informative, and it was very helpful. So if we have a group chatting anywhere for this team, so this really helps to eliminate the problem of what is the agenda and where we are and what next to be done.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to add to that. One of the things that helped was having a team coordinator, because team lead can focus on the actual technical aspects of, and like, don't worry about logistics, because that would have been like a lot of burden on the team lead if they were to handle both technical and logistic aspects. And then also just having Slack channel and also helped us. Because for quick communication, right, like we all could install the app on our phones and then just send messages or questions, and it helped with easy communication.
Very good, very good. So it was definitely a good anticipation that we will need not only a team lead, but also a team coordinator. There is another comment here on the chat. Diana, do you want to make a comment live?
I don't think she posted a question.
Oh, okay. There was, and maybe it was Giselle. Giselle, I welcome your comment, but if not, or raise your hand or open your mic anytime. But Julian, did you wanted to prompt another set of discussions across the panel?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I think we had so many different, participants were at different walks of life and in their professional career. So I would just be interested to hear a little bit about how has this competition actually helped you to identify or like to get new professional opportunities. And maybe we should start with Shruti, who kind of is still at the beginning of her career, and just hear a little bit how the competition was useful for her.
Yeah, I kind of, I guess, touched on it a little bit in the beginning, but for me at least, initially I was kind of scared to enter a competition such as this because something daunting, something that I didn't know anything about, had no background in data science or anything. So there was a good couple of days or even weeks that I was considering not doing it or doing it, but then I thought about it and I thought there's no harm in trying something new out, and there's nothing to lose if I at least just give it a try. Maybe I'm not gonna contribute as much as other people, or maybe I'm not gonna come up with the winning solution or anything like that, but there's nothing that I would miss out on, or there's nothing that I would lose by participating. And I ended up learning a lot of stuff when I did decide to participate and join. And I think I'm really glad that I made the decision to join, because data science is still not something that I'm using day to day in my career. My career has just started, but in my current job right now, I'm a software engineer, but data science is still not something I'm using, but it's something that at least I've had a foot in the door and an exposure to. So it's something that if I want to pick it up later on, I can definitely do that. And I have the confidence to realize that because I did it once, I can definitely do it again. And I can definitely try for another opportunity like I had this time. But yeah, I hope that was helpful. Yeah.
And Christine, you also said it was a great learning experience for you. Are you planning to now use more data science in your everyday life, or how have you kind of taken the learning so far?
Yeah, totally. As I have said before, I noticed I got a real world experience dealing with these dirty data. Well, like in classes, you always deal with this nice, pretty data set. That is a very good experience for me. And I guess what I learned, besides all this hard skill, is also a good learning process on my soft skills. As I'm working with Mansi, she really helped up to divide this huge, big project into small stepstones and guided us through this process. That really helped us with the ramping up process to get it completed. And also, to me, I personally find it's very rewarding just participating in the discussion with Ileana and Julianne. As we can see that they are very supportive, and just by observing like how they host this meeting and how they guided us for the discussion, I learned how to ask help in a professional setting and how to invite people being vulnerable, asking for help in a professional setting. I believe this soft skill and plus this hard skill are very great learning progress in career development. And in terms of my career change, it did has a huge impact. So I was previously working in clinic as a dietitian, teaching people how to eat healthy. But now I transferred to the business team. I'm using these data analytical skills to try to guide the business, set up the vision for the product, how to marketing it, how to position it in the market. So quite exciting for me.
Yeah, super exciting. Congrats.
Thank you so much.
And then Mansi, you were one of our very experienced data scientists on the team. Did you learn something from the challenge?
Oh, very much. I'll tell you, when I signed up for the challenge, and then I was like, I listed myself as a basic, and then I said I'm going to lead. So Ileana would message me, Mansi, are you sure your skill set is low? Can you lead? I'm like, okay, let me give it a shot, right? Because yeah, so I was always a data and analytics specialist, right? And I love data. So the next coolest thing is ML AI. I'm definitely looking to elevate some of my data analytics specialty and dovetail that with AI ML specialty. This is definitely a feather in my hat. And then this adds a lot of value, and especially because you come out of your way to do something different, something that can change the world. So if you guys are aware of an open source community, that's a key skill set. You're doing something out of your interest. It's like volunteering. You don't know when and how you're helping them. Right? So please have an open mind, right? And commitment and determination are key to success, right? Keep a very positive attitude, be nimble, be humble. And then as Rupa said, you cannot know everything possible about AI ML. So it's okay, right? It's okay. This is the place where you can come and learn, but never step back. If there's an opportunity, grab it. It's not rocket science.
Thanks, yeah. And maybe that's actually a good leeway to a question, Nishrin, for you maybe. What would be, besides the competitions, other avenues of putting the learning into practice?
So we all know technology is moving at a tremendous pace for all of us. We are constantly being asked to retrain, to learn, reinvent ourselves, and then adapt to these new technologies and changing landscapes in front of us. So for this process, we are continuously learning through coursework, through classrooms, through self-study, and through competitions, as we just went through with the WIBD. And one of the best ways I feel to put your learning into practice is to teach it to somebody else. Teach others what you have learned. And teaching others can be in various ways, I feel. It could be, like giving a webinar or a workshop. You could create a YouTube video of what you learned and how you did it, and put it up there for others to learn and understand as to what you went through, kind of share your learning lessons. You could also write a blog or a Medium article about what you learned. All these are great ways to share and practice, put your learnings into practice. And this is also a win-win situation for you and for others, because they get to learn from your experience and you get to showcase what you have learned. So you're kind of adding to your personal brand. And then another thing that I could recommend is project-based learning. This was somewhat of a project-based learning, right? We picked up a project and we learned so many things from it. Life skills, right? As somebody mentioned, soft skills. We learned hard skills like how to develop a pipeline, how to pick up a task and work through it. So I think participating in project-based competitions, or even if you do volunteer work, there are many organizations out there where you can participate as a volunteer on a particular project and contribute your time and solve a real life problem which makes impact. And I'm a part of such a community called Dana, and there are many others also around. AI for Good is another thing where they do real projects for NGOs and nonprofits in remote regions of Africa and South America, where they don't have all this knowledge, and we can volunteer our time and give that knowledge to them. In that way, you're putting your learning into practice and you're doing something good along the way. So these are some of the things that I can recommend to put your learning into practice.
Awesome. Yeah, really good recommendations. Thanks. Awesome. Maybe before we come to an end, Mridula, I know you wanted to share a little bit about what was like the most rewarding experience for the competition. I think that's a nice last kind of highlight, and then I would afterwards hand it over to Eliana and maybe to address the question that we just got in the chat as well.
Okay, all right, sure. Thanks, Julian. I think participating in this data challenge was a great learning experience for me. I got to apply, like Christine and Shruti and everyone else mentioned, I got to apply what I've been learning on a real project and understand how to plan and execute a data science problem, like from data analysis, feature engineering, to actually running like regression models for training and for predictions. And I think the most rewarding experience was finding mentorship and guidance for like folks like me who have been like, I do consider, like, because I do data analysis professionally in my current role, but it's something not like everybody does. I come from semiconductor background, and what I have to do it for my job, but I don't have people around me who are data scientists who are helping me with that. I've been learning it on my own. So for people like me who are trying to learn new skills, I think this was an amazing opportunity to learn from someone who has had several years of professional experience in data science. And also, I think just finding a team to discuss, brainstorm, and learn from each other, I think that was great experience. And I want to thank Eliana and Julian, you, for the support you guys gave us in bringing this competition together, and all the team leads who have taken up this challenge to lead the teams.
Awesome. Eliana, back to you, I would say. And there's a question in the chat if we already have a future competition identified and how you would find it.
Yeah, no, that's a wonderful question. And first of all, I do want to thank everyone. It's an honor and a privilege. Julian, when I call you and I say, would you consider being our executive sponsor? You had zero doubts that you wanted to contribute. So thank you for that. Team leads and team coordinators, I know I put a lot of pressure on you, especially as we were forming the team. And it was very important that you took on the challenge. You took on the challenge to lead. You dedicated your personal time. You organized through time zones, through boundaries, through COVID, through your own jobs. That's not easy to do. So, my admiration, my love to all of you, and the team members that are on the call. You were very, very important to get us through this first cohort. And the whole idea was to demonstrate that this concept could work, that women in big data can offer one more avenue to help you, right? I am not a data scientist, I'm not a technical person, but I'm very much inspired to frankly become a little better. And my objective is to provide support. So to answer that question more directly, we are definitely planning another cohort toward the second half of the year. We want to give us all a little bit of a break in the next few months of summer. But please, I will announce it. I will announce it with my team at Women in Big Data. And of course, for all of these, the individuals that attended this call, I'll make sure that you are the first to know when the next cohort will be formed. But make no mistake, it is a cohort based on volunteer work and volunteer effort. So we will need your help as well to help us stand up the next cohort. And maybe we will get over 25 people sign up this time. Although frankly, 25 people was already a lot for us to manage. So thank you, everyone. Now, before we close, are there any additional questions from the panel, from the attendees that you would like to, or another comment that somebody would like to offer?
I want to quickly add my personal experience, which happened recently. So I was talking to a hiring manager for my, as part of my job search and having my next opportunity in data science. And as soon as he saw about this data science competition that I worked on and participated, that was the first thing he started talking about. That's the first thing he noticed and he started talking about. And we both were, of course, on camera and we were talking about it. And he asked me, let's talk about this. This is interesting. And he asked me, so what is this? Talk about it. And of course, I explained. And after 10 minutes, we switched to another section of the interview. Everything happened, as per the schedule. At the end of the interview session, he said, I cannot hold this back. I have to give this feedback to you right away. And that was strange. I was like, okay, what is it? I mean, he did not like me, or, maybe he said like, okay, you wasted my time, something like that, right? So I was a bit confused and I was waiting for him to comment. And he said, I could see your eyes and your face lit up when you talked about the data science work, the data science competition that you worked on. I mean, I could really see your personality coming out and how passionate you were about it and how much you enjoyed working on that project. And I was like, really? I mean, I was not seeing myself because I was looking at him when I was talking. And then he said, okay, our time is up, but I really wanted to give you that feedback. And I was like, okay. So the bottom line is, guys, whoever is considering in participating, do not be scared. Do not, even if it's your first time. It was my first time, like, all others said earlier. Even if you don't know everything, it's okay. Go ahead, take a stab at it, try. And another important message I would like to share, that it is a two-way street. Even though if you're not a lead or a coordinator or a senior or experienced person on the team, you are here to learn. At the same time, try to contribute, because it is a two-way street. You are learning, but at the same time, your contribution should be constructive and positive for the overall team's success. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Rupa. And I think that brings us to a close here. There are a couple more comments on the chat, but they all refer to congratulations, thank yous, and also that the passion and commitment shows on all of your faces, and Rupa, particularly with your closing comments. So thank you, everyone. We will do this again. And I am very, very grateful to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.